Alright, the Smokers Watchers had a quick book. Alright, the part of the techniques of success. Here are the weapons you will use directly against your own cigarette complex. Like any weapons, they are effective only when used well. Be sure you understand them thoroughly before finally picking up them and committing yourself to an attack. Alright, 8. The benevolent pressure group. If the philosophy of the Smoker Watchers could say to have the cornerstone, the single major idea of support, some supreme importance, it would be since social pressure made you start smoking, you must use social pressure to help you succeed. Like thousands of the other smokers, Frederick J. Chapter 3 tried to wrestle his smoking habit all by himself. He walked into a cabin and would try to succeed alone. Like the majority of others would have gone this route, he tried. True, there are a large number of ex-smokers who have pulled off the trick of themselves, but they are distinctly in a minority. No precise statistics are available over the course of the actual numbers of smokers who have tried to come free, nor how many of them succeeded. After how many attempts, nor how many have failed. The Smoker Watcher's own statistics based on the case of the histories of clients indicated that fewer than 15% of the individual attempts to break the tobacco habit that is attempted by lone individuals actually succeed. A discouraging record indeed, and an indication of the habit strength. No, you cannot responsibly hope to succeed yourself. You can hope, but it isn't a reasonable hope. The chances against you are high. The odds are unfavorable with a few horse players of Wall Street. Wall Street speculators would likely put their money on you. Perhaps you have already learned the fact of the personal experience. You try to come free about at least once, maybe many times each time, having enjoyed and fitful, reckless freedom for a few days and finally collapse in defeat. Alright, don't try it again. Instead of struggling, playing away along with the route with yourself is going to saunter down into the company. We aren't here to kid you, but we do not say it will be lark. You don't say you find the quit comfortable, you're going to be surprised. First step to assist with the benevolent pressure group of the other smokers who are trying to come free as you are. Think if you can reconstruct the social pressure swirling around you on the day you smoked your first cigarette, in the months of the vow of the gradually increase with your cigarette with the consumption finally became habitated. Recall how it was and how it felt. Why you're trying to impress people with your adulthood, your sophistication, your toughness, your urbanity, and when you're trying to impress with a particular member of the opposite sex or opposite sex in general. Were you trying to look for seem sexier and amorously adventurous, or were you trying at the same time with trying to impress those of your own sex and increase with your stature among them? When applause for your worldly wisdom, where you trying to look and feel with the like of thinking of a man or a woman, and does the cigarette help you take yourself seriously? Your memory may contain bits and pieces of all of these elements, perhaps sort of them out, ponder them. The important point is that these were all pressures exerted upon you by the other people, self-told with the unintentional, by the powerful with the reactive with the pressures, because you, like the rest of us, were a member of society, needed to get along in it and succeed within it. You may have been alone when you smoked with the first cigarette, may have even smoked alone with the front of the mirrors for many months with them in the beginning, and were still smoking because of the social pressures. No individual biological mechanism inside of you that forced you to do what you were doing. Your body did not need to smoke. Your physique did not need any smoke either, but it seemed at the time to need the act of smoking. The act of lighting, holding, drawing a cigarette seemed to fill the gap of the proof of this point of severe, some other vaguely recognized needed in your life at the time. It was silly, but it happened, and it happened to millions of us very well. You can make some of the same process work with you as bid your success is helpful by extreme powerful pressure exerted by other people are going to make you want to smoke. There are many possible ways of associating yourself with gathering around the group of smokers who want to achieve. Obviously, the easiest way is to join group already in existence. If you're likely, for instance, the one or more smoker watch groups are operating somewhere in your vicinity, each group has been formed by its led professional counselor, himself or herself as an ex-smoker, carefully trained by you with the principles outlined in this book. If it isn't practical for you to join a regular smoke watchers group, you can see with the groupers of the other kinds. Many anti-tobacco groups are being operated by various public and private agencies all over the country. Hospital, regional, local offices of health organizations such as American Cancer Center, fraternal organization, municipal government agencies, schools, colleges. You want them to join such a group as much as handy. The group you find may not operate on the basis of the book outlines. That's correct. The characteristics will be that is the group. If you join it, listen carefully to what the leader or the counselor says, but continue to study with the book and apply with the principle, the framework of the group effort. Smoke Watchers have proven that these principles are sound, workable, with the honestly know the better way to success. If you can't find or don't want to join an existing group, simply seek out with the smokers who are trying to defeat the smoking as you are. Deliberately associate with these people for the beginning. Tell them about your plans of coming free and listening to their plans. Often impossible from then on, tell them about your progress. Ask about theirs. Stay in touch with them through their entire campaign. They need not to be close friends. They can be simply people that you know meet once in a while with a computer training or the supermarket. As a matter of fact, we found the Smoker Watcher, the best kind of the anti-smoking group, doesn't consist entirely of close friends and empathetically not a relative. The reason will become apparent later. Thus, don't attempt to round up a family together unless it comes about naturally, and do not attempt to gather a group of close friends and pressure them into joining your campaign. You should meet at least once a week as possible. Don't have the formal meetings. Just be sure that these people whom you run into are frequent intervals. They can be people in the carpool bowlers in your league, simple people occasionally in some of the social setting. This is fine, of course. Keep the group with a small sense, with a larger group requires professional management. The only other possible difficulty is that there may be the unwanted degree of the homogeneity or closeness in the group. The best group of heterogeneous group made up of both sexes, all income brackets, all ways of life. The idea will concentrate the attention on the one problem you have in common: your habit of smoking cigarettes, and there are other extraneous emotional associations among people or among members of the group that you won't be able to help each other effectively. Don't try to bulldoze people into joining your campaign. Almost all smokers have some degree of self-consciousness about the habit, and some will react with self-defense, anger to any suggestion that they should not smoke. Occasionally, at the Smoke Watchers meeting, the member turns up who is not entirely on it of his own free will. He's been badgered and attended by his spouse or doctor, group of friends. He may attend simply to get others off its back with no intention of taking up the program seriously, or he may come up with a half-formed wishes to succeed, but without much faith he has the capacity to do so. Either way, with such member in a small group that is not likely to be successful, might be disrupted. He is angry, irritable, and unhappy. He looks for the program in the wrong way. To him, the quitting is not coming free or succeeding. His only real chance for succeeding is professional run group. So don't go up to your friend and stare at him with the eye and say, I see you're a smoker, you ought to quit. No. And now you're ruining your health, and he will tell you quite properly to go away and mind your own business. Handle it more gently. Tell him about your own tobacco problems. I've been wanting to quit smoking for years. You all have used the word quit because it's universally understood. I've tried several times, but it never worked. And now I think I'm trying to approach a program developed by Smoke Watchers. At this point, you aren't asking him or join anything or do anything nor the challenging with the tobacco habit. You can both come comfortably as you talk. He's interested in explaining more about the program. He is still interested. Lend a copy of the book and send him in the library one for one. Stay in touch with him. Alright, now you've associated with the other smokers who want to come free with what they do. What happened to them. Later we'll show with you the mechanics of the process, the detail for a moment. Just look at the psychodynamics of the group to hear what are these benevolent pressures, how do they work. A typical Smoke Watcher meeting, each new member or every member is newly formed group tells who he is and what his experience with tobacco has been, how long he has been a smoker, and how much he now smokes. This is done informally, but the member doesn't stand up and give it an address. He simply sits and talks casually. Other members can make them comments or ask him questions if they like. Toward the end of the meeting, each member announces the plan for the coming week, whether to maintain the present level of smoking, preferably with a course or with a cut down to avoid confusion. Remember all the reference of the level and amount smoking, or specifically in terms of the numbers of the cigarettes smoked per day. In the succeeding meeting, each member tells how he fared over the preceding week. Did he cut down his smoking with the amount he planned last week? Here, did he find experience with hard, easy, have he has achieved what he planned? What does he think of the reason have been? Other members are invited with a comment on what he says, what they do think of the trouble has been. What are suggestions of improving the performance next week with the experience that they are, particularly with the long-term members, had their own campaigns that might be relevant or helpful at the meeting progress. Each member finds himself being pushed gently and but even more insistently by the group's will. With the psychosocial situation develops in which each man with a woman speak with within group's approval and applause. Just as the need of the group's approval to force to each of the smoking years ago, with the same social pressure now act the opposite direction, sometimes slowly but usually quite steadily. Each smoker is pushed towards its success. You find that he must keep moving toward if he has maintained a social standing in the group and uncomfortable if he doesn't. To see the process at work, you consider the transcript of the typical Smoke Watchers meeting. Counselor to a member. Well, Joe, how about you? Last week you were down into, let's see, constantly Joe's correct record car. 19 cigarettes a day, and you said you were cutting off 4 this week. You were going to do them to 15. How'd you do? Joe said probably made it no problem. The woman member was still up to 30-day range. That's great. That's 4. Did you cut out? Joe, well, I'll be tackled with a sub-habit of the smoking while driving the car. Regular work day, I was smoking 4 of these cigarettes trying to go into the work in the mornings and 2 back in the night. Woman, you killed the whole sub-habit. Joe, all of it. I don't want those driver's cigarettes much anymore. They were mostly 2s. They refer to smoker's system rating for each second according how much you wanted it, from 5 meaning very much, 1 meaning very little. The system will be explained in detail later chapter. Another member, a great university graduate, stated, who worked his way down from the over 60 cigarettes to the 0, and I hope to soon leave the group completely free. So what are you going to do the next week? And Joe shifts uncomfortably in the chair. Well, I figured I'd stay at 15-day level for 1 or more week and, kind of get used to it. Graduate students simply seems silly to stop now, Joe. You were smoking about 50 when you joined, weren't you? And you came down steadily with the whole time since then. Why stop? I mean, why are you losing your momentum? Woman said, that makes sense. Why don't you cut out some of the minor sub-habit? I mean, easy one, Joe. Well, another woman remembered I used to have the sub-habit of smoking while I was waiting at the bus. I didn't want those cigarettes as much as I originally thought I did. I didn't miss them much that they were gone. Graduate student, matter of fact, but I didn't miss any cigarettes that much. Joe, with a grumpy good humor, what are you doing, bragging? Graduate student, no, I'm just telling you it's like it is. Counselor said, why don't you tackle some minor sub-habit next week? Seems to me, remember you mentioning one last week, was it? And Joe says, I guess I was talking about my newspaper cigarettes. I usually choke one while I'm reading the morning paper and one over the evening paper. First woman, there's only 2 cigarette habit. That's only 2 cigarette habit you could kill easily. Joe, maybe I could break it into 2 sections, killing in the morning cigarette and head this week and even in the evening one next week. Graduate students said, seems like a pretty slow way to go about it. You don't have to go that slow, Joe. But the trouble is, even the paper cigarettes is one of the I want a lot. I usually rate it like a 4. I figured I want to save it and tackle it in some later stage. You have to go at your own pace, right? Graduate student said, but it sounds like you want to slow down at a crawl, but you lose all your momentum. Counselor says, why don't you just try it, Joe? Tackle the 2 newspaper cigarettes. Why won't you shoot we won't shoot you if you don't make it. Joe, after a pause, all right, I'll put me down for the 13 cigarettes for the day next week, and I'll come down with 13. Graduate son, go, Joe. Plus, if the group's benevolent social pressure, keep with the one typical member on the track with a parenthetical note with the main protagonist of the little drama. Joe pushed on with a complete success or record show that how he did with the fast of the drop down to 13 cigarettes a day in a week following within the meeting. Then 10 following, then 4, and then finally 0. This was 6 months ago. As far as we know, he remained a non-smoker. With the social pressure behind him, Joe in all probability would have suffered the fate of the most smokers who tried to succeed alone. If he managed to work his way down with the 15 cigarettes, if it's so unlikely, he would probably have stopped as he wanted to. Even when this meeting took place, he would have rationalized with himself in a manner familiar to all. smokers that just staying on the level for a while. But he had told himself just for a while. Possibly he would indeed have moved the 15th day level after just a while, but he would have moved upward, back toward his original level of 50 a day. Joe could not have come free alone. He needed other people, so do you. As we've said, it is necessary to organize a formal group writing set of bylaws, set up the schedule for the regular weekly meetings. What you're seeking essentially beneficial social pressure can you find with the informally, such of the same way as found with the more formalized setup with the Smokers Watch group. The main point associated with the other smokers while you're trying to win, talk them from time to time, the more often the regular, the better. Each time you meet them for the past week progress, outline your programs, your goals of the coming week or so. Deliberately putting yourself in the position of trying to earn their applause by feeling fainted. Ashamed when you don't, without least of some form of social pressure, your chance for the breaking a tobacco habit are quite slim. Chapter 9, The Partner System.